Hello, beloved listeners, and welcome to Snake People at the Movies, film criticism by people who actually like film. Join us as we dive into movies we love, movies we respect, and movies we wish we could unsee. It's the podcast where we talk about growing up and living queer, nerdy, and depressed, online and at the cinema. From the kids who genuinely forgot about the existence of Star Trek Into Darkness for a while there, it's Sneople at the Movies. Due to some unfortunate technical difficulties this week, we're doing something a little different. Some audio got eaten, so instead we're bringing you a pair of conversations about a subject very near and dear to all our Snake People hearts, Star Trek. Maddie and I are going to kick it off, yelling at each other about the reboot movies, of which there are tragically only two. Star Trek Into Whatness? No, I'm serious. One time I actually caught myself thinking, damn, when are they going to make another Star Trek movie?
I mean, still a fair response, even though there are technically three. But it's kind of like how I feel about
three, but like
the cat movies, where I'm like, God, I can't believe they only got two cat movies. And it's like, no, you just genuinely think of Civil War as Avengers 3, and you've read that joke so much that you just think that that's how it works, and that's not how it works.
I do exactly the same thing. I'm like, man, how come they only made two Captain America movies? And it's like, oh yeah.
Avengers 3 Civil War.
Man, pour one out.
For Steve Rogers and me.
Yeah, mostly it's pour one out for us.
The reboot movies.
Is 10 years old as of May 2009.
Yeah.
It was 10 years ago.
I always feel like it's like longer ago, and also like it happened very recently.
Not. Yeah, it's I keep forgetting that like that movie came out when we were in high school, which I think is the wacky thing. Like I
don't remember when I first saw it.
I definitely saw it in a movie
I probably
theater.
Did, let's be honest.
I'm assuming you did. I imagine
this seems like a dad event, yeah.
I'm sure you went with your dad. But yeah, it's funny. That was the reboot, the J.J. Abrams one, which is how I'm going to refer to it, came out at a moment when Star Trek was kind of in danger of becoming a cultural punchline. Mm-hmm. I think, because, you know, it was a long time since the original series had come out. Mm-hmm. Star Trek Next Generation was something that was like incessant reruns on Spike TV, which fucking shout out to Spike TV, because that's how I saw a fuckload of original series of TNG when I was like 8. Changed my life.
Yeah, you just invoked a sense memory in me by saying Spike TV.
yeah, it was because it was the only goddamn thing I was allowed to watch, because Spike TV was like not appropriate for children, but they showed a ton of Star Trek, so you just watched the Star Trek that was on it. So blast from the past, everybody. But yeah, and you know, DS9 and Voyager had both been pretty polarizing for the Star Trek fan base. There's a lot of people who love them, a lot of people who hate them. My parents like really hate Deep Space Nine, and then I got on the internet and there were all these people who were like, Deep Space Nine is the like best and most like emotionally, you know, like thorny Trek, and I was like, oh shit, I mostly know it from my parents complaining about it.
I love Deep Space Nine personally, but
I've watched some of it now and I love it.
It is very polarizing for sure. Same with Voyager. I don't remember that one.
Same with Voyager. I've watched like 3 episodes.
Is that the one where they end up through a wormhole?
Yeah, they go through a wormhole and they're stuck in the Delta Quadrant.
Weirdly enough, I always think that
their
one's
whole
Deep
shtick
Space
is they're
Nine,
like,
and it absolutely is not. I don't remember any of the plots. I just remember the fact that they're through a wormhole.
Yeah, but like Deep Space Nine has deep space in the title, so you think that it's the one where they're stuck far from home, but it's
absolutely not. No.
It's absolutely not. And then Star Trek Enterprise, which, there we go, pour one out for Star Trek Enterprise. I watched every single episode of Star Trek Enterprise with my parents when it aired. And you know what? I was 9 years old, I didn't have any taste, and I had the time of my goddamn life.
That's the important part.
Like, that show was bad. There's no getting around the fact that Star Trek Enterprise was, in many ways, a very poorly executed television show. However, a lot of it's actually pretty fun, and I think it is, on the whole, kind of unfairly maligned.
It has redeeming parts, based on what I've heard.
It has redeeming qualities. Also, fuck you, I love Malcolm Reed. He is, like, one of the original, like, aggressively Ezra's fave, like, type characters, and, like, I feel completely comfortable admitting that to the entire
I gotta
internet.
look this dude up. I haven't ever seen Enterprise, but keep talking while I look
Oh,
him up.
man. Someday I will find, like, I need, like, this is my plea to the internet for, like, a supercut of, like, snarky Malcolm Reed moments, because he's, like, snarky and uses it to hide that he's, like, has a lot of self-confidence issues, and also, they had written him to be the first openly gay Star Trek character, and the network panicked at the last minute and made them rewrite it. And so he's been clearly in love with his best friend for, like, 3.5 seasons, and then at the last minute, like, he practically opens his mouth and then, like, a voiceover just goes, "Hoshi, you're in love with Hoshi, who's a woman." And it's like, oh boy.
I just looked at a picture of this dude and I knew. I was like, oh, yep. That one's yours.
Yeah, I deserve that drag. He's English and has a bunch of the Iliad memorized in ancient Greek or something like that, which is how you know he's gay.
He looks like he would get the consumption. Which is how I categorize the men that you love. Do they look like they could have feasibly died of the consumption?
He looks like he died in a trench in World War One. Like,
yeah. And I love him
in
for
space. Oh, I love you unconditionally, Matty. And also, I 100% deserve that drag. Anyway, so Star Trek Enterprise was, in many people's opinion, an irredeemable mess. And then there was no Star Trek for
a really long
pretty long time. And then, you know, in the midst of, I mean, it's funny, I guess the reboot movies sort of were on the early, like, they were on kind of the upswing of the reboot mania that has consumed Hollywood for the last 10 years
I would
so.
say they're some of the best, like, not to take a hard stance, as I do all the time. They're some of the, like, peak of the...
No, you absolutely should.
Some of the peak of the reboot stuff that we've been seeing. It was, when you say upswing, I assume you mean, like, reboot, and, like, they were getting good, and now they've kind of swung back down.
Oh, I really meant, like, frequency upswing, but also quality, yeah, because
both are true.
It's a movie that it stands on its own. You know, it is an origin story, but it's interesting because it doesn't feel like a retread purely because the original series didn't do an origin story. You know, this isn't the fifth take on the origin of Spider-Man. We never saw the origin of Jim Kirk. And whether or not you think that the origin story that J.J. Abrams gives to Chris Pine's Kirk makes sense in the context of Shatner's Kirk or not, which, like, I'm not having that fucking discussion. Yeah. It doesn't have to, because it's its own...
It's an AU. It's literally an AU. Yeah.
It's literally, they wrote their own...
It is a reboot, in effect, in the idea
universe.
Of, like, in the universe, the universe got rebooted.
Yeah. There is a canonical universe-altering event.
Yeah, that they discuss in the universe.
the plot of the movie involves we are now in a different timeline than the one, which is super cool. And it's kind of fun that they decided to just, in the words of TV tropes, hang a lampshade on. I love the idea of lampshading things. That they were just like, yeah, we did, and we're gonna tell you exactly how we did it. And it's cool. And it's a fucking cool reason. And even though this whole fucking movie looks like it was filmed inside of an Apple store, which is just, frankly, kind of weird.
Yeah, well.
I love the joke that's like, yes, Star Trek reboot drinking game, do a shot every time there's a lens flare. Oh no, don't, you would die.
Yeah. Oh, JJ.
Like, yeah.
I will say,
just keep doing what you're doing.
Do your best, Jade. For my part, something that, because I didn't really watch, I grew up on TNG and then Deep Space Nine.
I did too.
I didn't watch any TOS until you and I met and we started watching it together. And I didn't watch any of the movies until like more recently I started doing that. I saw they did Wrath of Khan in a theater last September, and I went to go see that with Helena. So for me, I was so jealous. It was so good. God, it was so good. I'll talk about that in a second because it's important. But for me, I didn't have a lot of background in TOS, and it was still like engaging, and like I knew, because it's a cultural touchstone in a lot of ways. So I had an idea, but like it was still interesting and engaging for me, as I assume it was for people who knew TOS super well.
Take my mom, for instance. Like, my mom was of the sort of target, like, you know, young teenage age when the original series of Star Trek was airing. She was a Star Trek fan at, you know, the original series of Star Trek. And like she was a fan of it in the way that teenage girls were a fan of it, which was like the cornerstone of their fan base. And she fucking loves the reboot movies. She thought they were fabulous. And I'll talk a little bit, we'll talk more about kind of fandom and Star Trek in a minute, but it's just like, it was really fun because my mom was just like, oh yeah, like this movie is coming out and I'm here with my kid who is like a similar age to what I was when I was enthusiastic about original series Star Trek.
Which is so cute. Like, I love that so much.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I went to go see the prequel movies with my dad. I think that's a similar, because he saw the original Star Wars in theaters and then went to go see the prequels with me, and we've seen the new ones together. So, Aww. Yeah. Anyway.
That's so
We'll talk about Star Wars another day. But I was thinking, when Helen and I went to go see Wrath of Khan, and they're talking about how he, in the movie, they talk about how he cheated at the Kobayashi Maru, and I was like, oh, that's like a cool, like, backwards Easter egg now that I have when I watch new Trek, that, like, they pulled these things from original Star Trek and the original movies that, like, I'm sure if I had seen these, this would have been like cool little nods, but I didn't miss anything because I didn't see those before, you know? It had a really wide appeal, which I think is part of the reason why they did so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And also just, you know, fabulous casting. Fabulous so casting.
Chris Pine. Carl Urban. Just
Carl Urban, brought to you by tequila.
God. He did an Emerald City panel like years and years and years ago, and that was like the in joke, and that's now my tag for him on Tumblr.
Yeah, it was the first, that was the first convention that I ever went to. I went with Matty and an unfortunately ex-friend of ours, and we went to this Carl Urban panel, and he'd
like been out drinking the night before.
Funny. Yeah, he was very funny and very personable, and made a lot of jokes about the amount of tequila that he had consumed the evening before, and decided that his panel was brought to you by tequila.
Ugh, what a charming man. I also got a photo with him at Rose City last year, and as everybody knows, I died. I did die.
Yeah.
And he was incredibly
Matty's
warm
actually
and
a lich
and
now.
What a delightful man.
Yeah, and he's just... he has the energy.
He's so good. He's a nerd. Is part
Bones
of it.
Down. He's... Oh god, yeah. I mean, he is just like Carl Urban, enormous
This is
nerd.
the man who fought to have the boots that everybody else had, because he said that it was like... Oh god, what was it? That like everybody in medical had these white boots or something. And he was like, Bones doesn't have those. Bones has the same like uniform boots as all of the other commanding officers. Like, you're not going to give me these stupid shoes. He doesn't have those.
Yeah.
And you're like, what a geek. You fought with costuming over this.
He did that for himself, but also us. And that's an interesting thing, because the new Star Trek movies were a weird combo of, there were a lot of people who were involved with them who were longtime diehard Trekkies, and also the injection of people who weren't necessarily long-term Star Trek fans, but loved science fiction or just loved to tell a good story. And I think they found a good balance. And also having the idea of it being canonically an alternate timeline did give them an amount of freedom.
Oh, for sure. If they had just tried to do a straight-up reboot of like Wrath of Khan or something, it would not... I mean, they kind of did.
Because they did, and it sucked.
Yeah, the fact that they were like, we're gonna do for the like Star Trek and for Beyond, the fact that they tried to do their own thing, it hit. Like, it killed. It did such a good job, because it was like, this is the thing you love with like new shit.
Yeah, it was more of the thing you love rather than a pale imitation of the thing that you love.
Right. Yeah.
like the first Star Trek reboot and Star Trek Beyond remind you of why you love Star Trek. Star Trek Into Darkness makes you wish you were watching Star Trek instead.
Right. Honestly, I could be watching Star Trek right now, is what I think.
Yeah.
I could literally be watching Star Trek right now. And instead I'm watching this.
Yeah, it's like, oh damn, I could literally be watching bring me an episode of pretty much anything else.
I just realized also, we were talking about like actors who were super good. Zoe Saldana, we did not mention her. Damn. I love her so much. I have a little bit of beef with the way that they decided to write Uhura in these movies. That's fair.
But I love Zoe Saldana.
She does a great job.
Yeah.
It's not her fault.
She is fantastic. No, it's not her fault at all, and she does amazing work with what she's given.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know what the other sort of fun aspect of the Star Trek reboot is? The fucking Star Trek reboot fandom.
Oh my god.
Which is also what we are here to talk about today, because, you know what? Deep down, this is a fucking fandom podcast, too.
We haven't ever really talked about it, but we were talking about it because we were like, okay, we gotta do some episodes real quick. Like, obviously Star Trek fandom, the original Star Trek fandom was a cornerstone and a building block for a lot of what we have now as modern fandom.
Yeah, like the concept of fandom as it exists now basically originated with Star Trek.
They did that for us. They walked so we could run. And we will forever be grateful for both the good and the bad that it's brought us.
They mailed each other pornography so that we could get a Hugo nominated for it.
God, I'm just so glad. I'm just so glad.
Not that all fanfiction is porn. Fanfiction porn is awesome. And just like as a general thing, just damn fucking shout out to the original Star Trek fandom. you done good.
God, we as people on the internet owe them a lot, honestly.
We do. We owe them so much.
And with Reboot, it came kind of a resurgence of that. It was kind of like when the Hobbit movies came out, we saw a resurgence of the Lord of the Rings fandom too. Obviously, it was kind of different, two very different iterations of a same thing. But there were a lot of new people who went back and watched TOS, like me. Like people who had grown up with it and went back and like rewatched some of it, or people who had never really watched Star Trek who like then got into Star Trek. And it was really cool, and also sometimes fucking awful, but like...
Well, yeah. I mean, like any... as soon as any fandom gets to a certain size, you sort of unavoidably get
the bad
shitty
times.
Parts of it. It was so funny because, like, I've never tried to really, like, or at that point, I had never attempted to, like, explain, like, fandom to my mom, but I remember her talking about, like, she wasn't necessarily part of, like, a fan community, but she was a fan of Star Trek, and she was talking, I remember when she was just talking about, she was like, yeah, the big question when you among, and it was mostly young women, and when you would find out that other young women your age were into it was Star Trek and Man from
Uncle
were two things that had like super cult followings among teenage girls.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, seriously, the question was always, did you prefer the blonde or the brunette?
Oh god, that's so funny. And that's like true to this day is the funny part.
Yeah, it's true to this day. And it was that but like my mom said, she was like, no, that was the thing with Man from Uncle. It was like, are you a Napoleon girl or an Elia girl? And with this, it was like, are you a Kirk girl or a Spock girl? And my mom was always like, and I was always went for the dark-haired guys.
Of course.
Which is funny because my father has dark hair. It's like, she's mostly joking about like, haha, isn't this funny? Because, you know, and then she married a curly, dark-haired Jewish guy who's shorter than her. I love my parents.
I know. It's so good. I also like
they're good
when
people.
You said that about your mom, I was like, I can tell you right now which ones I think she would have picked, and I was right.
And you were right. Yeah, but it's just so fun. It was fun having known at the time how fundamental the original Star Trek fandom was to fandom existing at all, that there was something that was just fun about getting to do that ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like, in a lot of ways, it was like wholesome. It felt very like, it was like nostalgia of something that I didn't actually experience, you know?
Yeah, it definitely had that element of it where it was nostalgia for something that I had not personally experienced, but had kind of inherited.
Inheritance is a good word for it, for sure. I also want to say for us as friends, one of the things that, because Into Darkness came out the year that we moved in together, the year that we were assigned by the college to live together.
Oh my god.
Assigned roommates. Was Into Darkness came out that year, and that was like one of the things that we bonded over was like Star Trek and Hannibal and Pacific Rim. And like I wrote fic for that for Star Trek for you for your birthday.
Yeah, you fucking did. Maddie wrote me Star Trek fanfiction as a birthday present, and it was great. And we had was it an RP blog
sort of,
or just a ship blog?
It wasn't really a ship blog. What it was is that we realized that we were like, our texts were very like Jim and Bones.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we would post like the
that was what it
caps
was.
of them. So it was kind of like a joke thing. No one ever followed it. It was like just us, and like it didn't have very many posts. We dressed up that year as like a punk Jim and Bones too.
for Halloween. Yeah, we did. Will and I, dear listeners, we have pictures and we'll find them for you.
There's a photo on my phone
because it's pretty hilarious.
We like on our like dorm room dorm hall had a whiteboard, and we posted like Happy Halloween from like Jim and Bones. And like somebody drew like little like Jim and Bones rocking out. It was really cute. I have a lot of like really fond memories of us bonding over Star Trek together, and watching TOS together with like some of your friends from like your high school. I think was it Alex who came down.
Alex,
we watched TOS
my
with
friend.
Alex.
Yeah, and we just it was sort of one of those things that we just. It became a cornerstone is definitely the word for it. And we all, I mean, and Helena's in that too. Like the three of us we all got each other pop figures.
I got us pop figures. I think I ordered. Them all
you got them
for
us.
As
Thank
like
you.
I miss you guys gift, because this was pretty soon after we had all kind of like I moved into the basement and you moved to Washington.
I moved up north.
So I think I got those for us.
Yeah, so we all have pop figure because of the member of the golden trio that we
are. Yeah,
most are. Yeah, and then Star Trek Beyond came out after Into Darkness was so disappointing. Because it had kind of just balled up all of the good things about the first reboot movie and throw them in the trash.
And then it was like, remember Wrath of Khan? That was good. Anyway.
Yeah.
Here's a bad version of Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, what if we did Wrath of Khan poorly? And you're like...
And Benedict Cumberbatch is there, and I was like, I don't want him.
God... And yeah, I know, right? Just take him back. How do we send him back to the mothership?
Please.
He looks like an alien baby. Sorry, everybody.
Alien baby.
He does. But it threw out a lot of the really interesting relationships that they had built in the first movie. I'm looking at you. They basically just sideline Bones just because. And the thing that was the most frustrating for me, I think, about Into Darkness was that it didn't earn what it was trying to do.
It didn't respect me.
Like
as a Star Trek
it did not respect me as a Star Trek fan, or even just frankly as somebody who paid $10 to sit down and watch your fucking movie. But the thing with Wrath of Khan is that the end of Wrath of Khan is so gut-wrenching because the performers and the storytellers have earned your investment in the Kirk-Spock relationship. Right.
At this point in Into Darkness, they really, at the end of like the first Star Trek, they weren't friends, really. They spend most of the first movie being very antagonistic.
Yeah, they weren't Kirk and Spock. They weren't Kirk and Spock.
They were Kirk v. Spock. And then you get a little bit of that, but you don't see a lot of their building relationship. The way I always phrase it is Star Trek is the Kirk and Bones movie. Into Darkness is supposed to be the Kirk and Spock movie, but like you don't really see any of that. And then Beyond is the Bones and Spock movie.
It's the Spock and Bones movie. And then Star Trek Beyond comes out, and Simon Pegg finally got to just muscle his way in there and be like, all right, listen up, piss lords, I'm going to show you how it's done. I don't know why that was the word that just happened. We've been recording for a really long time tonight, everybody.
Oh boy.
And I've now said piss lords on the internet.
Like this is the first time. But like God, he did. He made the movie we deserved. I'm so glad. Yeah. He's such a solid writer. I'll talk about other movies he's in at some point. Like I just love Simon Pegg so much.
it gave me back so many of the things that I love about Star Trek.
Absolutely.
The just a story about a bunch of people who are really good at their jobs, who love and support each other, trying to solve problems and do the right thing.
That's it. You've broken Star Trek down into its essential parts.
Yeah, and you know what? I have been a sucker for that since I was 7!
It felt like it came full circle. And it was really satisfying. Like, if they don't make another Star Trek, I'll be sad. But, I won't be upset. I did hear the Star Trek latest drama is that Chris Pine may not be coming back. And I was like, well, I don't fucking want it, then.
No, I know, right? Keep it. Jesus. Star Trek Beyond is it's a mature movie in which the characters have matured and their relationships have matured. And even though you haven't necessarily seen all of the things that led to that, you still feel them.
Yeah, you don't have to see them. The movie doesn't have to take you by the hand and give it to you. It is able to imply it, and you are able to draw the conclusion.
Yeah, and also it's a cool story. It has fun bits.
Idris Elba is so
Idris
good.
Elba is in it, and he's super good. And also I remember sitting in a theater going, I have read this Spock Bones fanfiction. And evidently so has Simon Pegg!
Yeah. Can you believe that came out in 2016?
No!
Happy 3-year anniversary to Star Trek Beyond.
Happy 3-year anniversary.
We love you.
Happy 3-year anniversary to Star Trek Beyond, and I have to get sad for a minute. We miss you. We miss you, Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
Man.
Anton Yelchin.
I miss my Space Zadie, and I miss Aunt Jesus. I almost just started crying right now. It is like late at night on a Sunday evening in 2019, and I just almost started crying about how much I miss Anton Yelchin. Yeah.
For Halloween, we talked about doing a Fright Night reboot, and I'm really excited to revisit that. That also features him. He's just he was such a
yeah. That's gonna be rough.
You note how he's been gone for many years, and I just said is instead of was. What a talent! Yeah.
Such a vibrant performer.
The reason we talked about doing the new Trek reboot is we were trying to figure out what we were going to do, and I said, I could do that. Yeah.
It's been 10 years, and I still make that joke, all the time.
Yeah. No one at work ever gets it. But I think it's funny.
Oh, that's so sad. Nobody at my work gets it either, but I definitely hear myself going, I can do that. Do that. And man, the Star Trek reboot does some stuff that's definitely not great. It's fairly sexist,
which is disappointing considering how obviously TOS was not a perfect show, but it had some pretty solid points for a show of its time.
Yeah, it's I think that sometimes the Star Trek reboot makes you regret how far we haven't come since the original series of Star Trek on a number of levels. Man, they're just good stories, They're fun science fiction movies. They just are. They're just fun. And, I have watched I've watched Star Trek 2009 and Star Trek Beyond a bunch of times.
Oh yeah, for sure. I own all of them, including Into Darkness, tragically, because I couldn't have my collection without that complete piece there.
Yeah, of course. No,
I sometimes I'm just having a shitty day and I just want to watch Star Trek, so I just watch Star Trek.
Yeah, and they're just
it's good. Shit. Yeah. Man, I love Star Trek. God, I just fucking love Star Trek.
Me too.
I think that's a good wrap up point for this is the first half of our Star Trek episode. We've got kind of the reboot movies done. There's going to be a kind of a brief break here, a transition out, and I'm going to swap out with Helena. Ezra will still be here.
Yeah, so up next, Helena and I are going to talk about... I don't actually know.
I think you guys said
we're going to talk about
probably the reboot still, some of the older movies, which I don't know as well. Maybe Disco, maybe not.
Yeah, we might talk a little bit. I will probably talk about Star Trek Discovery. Helena might have some beef with it. I'm over here waving my little Star Trek Disco flag, like, boy, I wish more people were watching this show so I could talk to them about how my crush on Ensign Sylvia Tilly could be seen from outer space. I'm sorry, Mary Wiseman has incredible hair and I'm super gay. And on that note, we're going to boldly go into the next part of our episodes. Catch you on the flip side. And so...
Please. So, this is what Star Trek is about. What's Star Trek about, Ezra?
Look, Star Trek really wants you to go out there, always assume the best of everyone you meet, work towards solutions that do the most good for the most people, and be fundamentally DTF.
Hooray!
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Snake People at the Movies, Episode 6, Part 2, which is the same episode for you, but it's a different day for your Sneople.
2 days later for one of us.
It's later for us. I'm Ezra, and I'm back with just Helena this time. I feel like an NPR host. I, interviewed Matty in the first part, and then I'm interviewing, except I'm not interviewing Helena. We're just here to talk about Star Trek, because we're big fucking nerds, which you are too, and that's why you listen to this podcast.
We hope so.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not a huge nerd, thanks for putting up with our bullshit. Hi. I find it hard to believe that describes, anyone who's listening to this. Love you.
Ezra, you mentioned that you talked about your history with Star Trek kind of briefly.
Yeah.
In the last part?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think we should totally, hey, Helena, I was about to say establish your Star Trek bona fides, which we are not here to do. Gatekeeping sucks. No. Hey, Helena, tell us about your joyful journey with Star Trek.
My joyful journey with Star Trek began before I can even remember, because so my dad was the Trekkie growing up as a kid. He watched the original series when he was a kid, and he saw all the movies, of course, and he watched Next Generation when it was on, and Deep Space Nine when it was on, even Voyager when it was on, even though he wasn't crazy about Voyager. And I was born, right at the tail end of Next Generation, so I grew up watching the Next Generation and the Next Generation movies, and even Deep Space Nine I remember watching initially. And after I've always loved Star Trek. It's always kind of been in my life. And then after the 2009 reboot movie came out, we went back together and watched the original series, and I also fell in love with that as well. So it's kind of been all in for me the whole lifespan.
Absolutely. I mean, God, I was thinking about it the other day, kind of what were, the cornerstones of my lifelong enthusiasm for speculative fiction. Mm-hmm. And really, it was Tolkien, Star Trek, and Star Wars.
Fair enough.
Really, yeah. Because my dad... big, really one of the only things my father is actually nerdy about is Lord of the Rings. My mom was an original Star Trek fangirl when the original Star Trek was on the first time. And one of my best friends growing up's older sister was like, spent all of her time on like Star Wars Usenet and like learned conlangs and did like seriously like a message board RP stuff. So I picked that up. But yeah, like Star Trek has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. Like okay, Helena, do you remember the episode of Star Trek Next Generation where everybody just starts evolving backwards?
Evolving back of Next Generation?
Yeah, like everybody starts like becoming like animals, even though that's not how evolution works.
No, I don't remember that.
Okay, good. That's good, because it scared me so bad that I hid behind the fucking couch and waited until my dad could come change the channel.
See, that was me with the Borg. Because we had First Contact on DVD, we like watched it so many times. We also owned the soundtrack as well on CD. So for me, that was the Borg, was the, stuff of my early childhood nightmares. Kind of. Like, I didn't like have nightmares about them, but they stuck with me in a very long-lasting way. And if you guys don't know what the Borg is, congratulations. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, we are.
Have fantastic dreams. Just briefly, because we gotta.
Man, the Borg are... This is gonna be weird to say, but I feel like the Borg are underrated. Not necessarily by Star Trek enthusiasts, but I think, like, they're such a punchy villain. And there's there's so much there. They introduce so many interesting questions into the narrative and into the
like identity and
yeah.
Like the iBorg episode.
Oh man, yeah. They introduce such interesting questions into the moral balance of the Star Trek universe, and I feel like kind of it's too bad that on the one hand it's good that they didn't get like run into the ground. I mean, maybe people think they got run into the ground, whatever. I like Star Trek Nemesis.
Well, I think that part of that was my beef. My beef is with Enterprise, because Enterprise. Okay. Wait a minute. So quickly for our non-Star Trek fans, we're about to get into it. All
right, strap in, everybody. We're going into the black hole.
We're going there. Welcome to our own personal memory alpha. The 5 major Star Trek series before Star Trek Discovery were original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise, and that's in chronological order of when they were made. They also kind of take place like Star Trek Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Voyager are all the Trek shows that were on in the late 80s and early 90s, and they more or less take place kind of around the same time. Deep Space Nine and Next Generation are very concurrent with each other, but I think Voyager takes place quite a bit after. I can't remember. But Enterprise was like Discovery, in a way, was a prequel to like even like the before the Federation was formed. It's like kind of the lead up to the forming of the Federation. And okay, so the Borg were introduced in Next Generation. They didn't exist as a species in the original series or the original series films, although there is a hint, possibly, maybe, that they were thinking about them in Star Trek The Motion Picture. They introduced them in Next Generation. They're very much a huge thing in all of the 90s Trek shows. And then in Enterprise, they try and retcon that and say, like, oh no, we've been new about the Borg way before.
Yeah, man, they like
series
blew
happened.
Up Florida or something.
Yeah, it's like, will you stop it? It just takes all of the intrigue out of it, because the whole point of them on Next Generation was like, Q was like, I know something you don't know. There's a whole other species that's like a huge threat to you, and you don't even know about it. And it's like, oh no, we knew. Like,
yeah,
what?
we knew, and we just
forgot to tell y'all. That's it. We didn't tell you.
we just all were so embarrassed about how dumb we were way back when that we just deleted all of the records.
Too many of us died for us to, like, you know, remember this crucial event.
Yeah. I mean, and even like people who are part of like the first, you know, we've just figured out how to not blow ourselves up with warp drive, and we're gonna go zooming out into the galaxy to make friends and influence people. So presumably all of the people on this ship are like household names. Oh my god, I swear the next thing that came out of my mouth was almost the St. Crispin's Day speech. Could someone please come over here and hit me?
It's okay.
Anyway.
I was there with you.
Thank you. I feel validated.
Shakespeare reference.
Yeah. That's very Jim Kirk is proud. Like, presumably all of these people are very famous, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jonathan Archer is like definitely, he's mentioned.
Yeah. He
several
comes
times
up
later
in Discovery and in the fucking the reboot movies. No,
That's
but
right.
but like the chief engineer's sister gets killed by the Borg. Like, dude didn't write an autobiography or something that everybody's read. People would have known about the fucking Borg. Anyway, sorry. Like, you're talking to somebody who's like, I'm not an Enterprise apologist because the show is bad. However, I watched it when it was on when I was like 9 or 10. And you know what? I had a really damn good time because I was 10 and I didn't have any taste.
Well, I didn't remember it. I remember watching it, but I don't remember it, if you get my meaning.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Like, I remember literally nothing except for the fact that What's-His-Bucket is in it.
You're gonna have to be slightly more specific than that.
Jonathan Archer. What's his name?
What?
From fucking Quantum Leap. What's his name?
Oh, Scott. It's Scott Bakula, babe.
Thank you. Oh my god.
You're welcome. Yeah. Hey, guess. Fun fact. I've never seen Quantum Leap.
Oh boy. It's fun.
I'm
very
sure
young.
it is. I really viscerally remember my mom trying to explain the premise of Quantum Leap to me and just being like,
her.
What the fuck? Who came up with this? So yeah, that's our weird meandering detour through bitching about Star Trek Enterprise.
Look, Star Trek Enterprise didn't get any movies, so we're not going to talk about it because
they
it didn't get any
that's
movies.
True.
Although neither did DS9, which is sad, but I understand why.
I mean, yeah, I do understand why, but also my crush on like half of the people in DS9 can be seen from space.
Same.
I don't want to talk about it.
So, the Star Trek movies.
Yeah, let's talk about the Star Trek movies, not the reboot movies, because we talked about the reboot movies already. We begin with, what's the year? I feel like I should have pulled up, like, years for all of this, because I really like jokes about, like, let's time travel back to the year such and such.
Oh, God, okay. Star Trek the Motion Picture, I believe, is 1978 or 79.
That sounds correct to me. Guess what? This is the last one that Gene Roddenberry had his weird little hands all over. That's pretty much all I know about this movie. I've never seen it.
It's like, it gets a bad rap because it's not, for understandable reasons, it's not terrible. Like, it's not by any means the worst Star Trek movie, but it was the first attempt, and there's a lot of criticism in the fandom, especially like older fans, I think, that critique a lot of the movies for veering to more action-oriented kind of genres. But like, motion picture is what happened when they literally just tried to make a Star Trek movie by like taking a traditional Star Trek episode and stretching it out to like a feature film length, and it didn't work very well because they didn't know how to do that. So because Star Trek is very much, the original series is very much, I have down here like Twilight Zone meets Horatio Hornblower in space. The original series especially is very episodic, and they're very much like using science fiction as it, you know, has always traditionally been used, which is to examine very theoretical, philosophical, and moral issues through the lens of a like futuristic possibility, you know.
My only beef with that analogy is that neither of those things are not action-y.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, Horatio Hornblower specifically, people were like, oh, it shouldn't be an action show. I'm like, dude, have you ever read a Horatio Hornblower novel? Like, those things are like at least 45% sea battles.
That's what they're doing. That's what they're
people get
for.
Like impaled by flying splinters like regularly. Dude gets his leg blown off. No, that's another guy. Anyway,
we
sorry.
talked about that. Not his leg getting blown off. The Star Trek being Horatio Hornblower inspired.
Yes, we did.
But so motion picture, I can't even remember most of the plot to it, but like they just kind of pad it out, because taking a traditional hour-length Star Trek episode and making it an hour and then just sort of panning it out with these like long sequences of them flying over this spaceship, it's just like does not work. You feel like you've spent an eternity there.
Also, I feel like everybody looks like a doofus for some reason.
Yeah, they do. I don't know. They were young. It's, you know, the best part about motion picture is that Spock, this is difficult to explain. Spock mind melds with the Mars rover Voyager. Is it a rover?
What?
This like makes absolutely no
Why did
sense.
I just get emotional about that? Also, where's my fan art of Spock mind melding with Opportunity?
he okay, I'm looking it up. I just to remind myself so I'm not going completely insane.
Helena, you could tell me pretty much anything happened in this movie and I would believe you.
There's this probe that is like trying to communicate with the crew that they follow like way into this like deep area of space that calls itself V'ger, and they follow it, and Spock does this very like 2001 Space Odyssey like weird thing where he attempts a telepathic mind meld with it, and he learns that it's a living machine. And it turns out when they go to it that it's revealed to be Voyager 6 is actually not a rover, but it's a space probe that NASA launched in 1977. And like, I don't know, it's just really beautiful. And Spock in this movie like learns, I think, about love and everything because V'ger was so alone. And so he like basically, this is a movie where he tells like Kirk that he's deeply in love with him. Not really, but you know, subtext.
That's what he means.
He says that's the one where that strange feeling quote comes from. The strange feeling.
Yeah, look, this podcast is pretty firmly on the Kirk and Spock in original series are fucking married bandwagon.
Yeah.
If you want to try to disabuse us of this notion, what was it that they used to say on fanfic.net? Like, flames will be used to, like, heat my tea kettle or something like that. Yeah. I may be making that up.
I'm sorry. I'm looking up. It's this simple feeling. Thank you. Thank you, TV Tropes.
Let's just take a moment to bask in how much Kirk and Spock love each other.
He's coming back from after mind melding with this thing, and he's like, he admits to feelings that he was terribly ashamed of in the original series, which, because Spock abandoned the ship after the end of the series to return to Vulcan, and because he had like rejected all traces of emotion for pure logic, and at the beginning of motion picture he seems to have like gone back to like way before what he was like before the end of the original series, and everyone's like, the fuck is going on with you? And Spock says, I'm just going to read the dialogue because it makes me emotional. Spock says, V'ger has knowledge that spans the universe, and yet with all its pure logic, V'ger is barren, cold, no mystery, no beauty. I should have known. And Kirk leans over him and says, known what? Spock, what should you have known? And Spock takes Kirk's hand and says, Jim, the simple feeling is beyond V'ger's comprehension. So that's what that movie is. It's just that moment. Ezra, are you there?
I'm here. I'm just having a moment. We're cool. Don't worry about it. I miss Leonard Nimoy.
I do too.
I miss my space Zadie, Helena.
I miss him. I miss when he would just tweet out LLAP, and it's just like we should talk about Leonard Nimoy in relation especially to Wrath of Khan, which was the next movie. Because Nimoy for a long time in his career was like getting real tired of this Spock bullshit, because people couldn't see him as anything else as an actor, even though he had done like tons of shit before then. So in Wrath of Khan, spoilers for Wrath of Khan, which came out in 1982, and is very well known.
Yes, following our policy of if it's more than 5 years old, like, we're gonna talk about it. Spoilers for Wrath of Khan, friendos.
And so basically in Wrath of Khan, so at the end of Wrath of Khan, Spock dies. Spoilers, he comes back. Also spoilers.
Yeah, he does.
Not in that movie, but later. Because in Wrath of Khan, the writer and director were like, they basically offered Leonard Nimoy a death scene. Like, we can write you out of a series. And he's like, yeah, cool, I'll take that. And because he was like, I'm done. And so he did that, and they filmed it, and it's a really beautiful death scene. And they talk about this in the documentary about Spock that his son made, where he like took off the makeup and he had finished filming, and he was like, okay, well, that's the last time I'm ever going to do that. And he was like, oh fuck, I fucked up. And so he like immediately regretted not doing it, and he like came back to direct Search for Spock and Voyage Home and also be in them. So he was just a really great guy from as far as I could tell. Like, obviously I've never met him, but I was really upset when he died, and I that day I watched the episode Piece of the Action.
Oh,
some lighthearted good stuff. And then I also watched Wrath of Khan. It was very much mood whiplash.
Holy shit, that's wild.
God,
this
so good.
This is something everybody should go find. I'm gonna look up the person who made this fanvid real quick, because there is a magnificent fanvid entitled The Glass, and it's all about kind of seminal shipping moments for same gender romance, like same gender fan imagined romance pairings. If you don't know what shipping is, I don't even know where to start, actually, like, for real. I'm gonna make sure that we'll go ahead and tweet out a link to this multi-fandom fan video, but it's called The Glass, and it's about kind of it's a little bit of a history of moments that were a big deal for people who shipped same-gender romantic pairings, where you felt like you almost got there. These two people almost got to admit that their feelings for each other went beyond friendship. They almost got to hold hands. They almost got to kiss. And the image that it uses is Kirk and Spock doing the hand gesture, the name of which I just forgot, so I have to turn in my nerd card, on either side of the glass as Spock is dying of radiation poisoning as he sacrificed himself to save the rest of the ship. And it's part of the reason that I got so fucking angry about them hijacking that moment for Into Darkness is because like these, they earned that one hand gesture sums up so many years of this beautifully nuanced relationship. And then when they tried to do it in Into Darkness, that version of Kirk and Spock hadn't earned that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so everybody should just
correct.
throw out their DVDs of Into Darkness and go watch Wrath of Khan again.
First of all, why do y'all even own DVDs of Star Trek Into Darkness? No shade to the people on this conversation or on this podcast.
I was like, completionists? Because Matty definitely does, and it's because they're a completionist and I love them.
It's okay, Matt. Well, besides Matty... Why? Well, yeah, it's just like
Matty's DVD copy of that is the only valid one.
Wrath of Khan, like, it's just exactly what you said. Like, Wrath of Khan came out in 1982. These characters had this long established relationship, both like in a meta sense and also within the universe of the show. And in Into Darkness, it had been like a few years since they met each other, and so Wrath of Khan also, I'm going to get like really into Wrath of Khan, but thematically Wrath of Khan I think is still the strongest Star Trek movie. There's a reason why people often regard it as the best one. It has these really strong themes throughout the movie about getting older and having to deal with death and process grief and your inability to go back and fix these choices that you've made in the past, both with Kirk's character and with Khan's character. And so not only is Spock's death coming at this like really emotionally fraught moment that is built up so well too, the tension of that is also built up so well, and this emotional release is built up so well. But it's also directly connected to what has been happening thematically in this movie the whole time, because Kirk is getting older and he's like an admiral now, but he misses like being a captain of a starship, and he misses like being out there with a crew and exploring and you know, all of that stuff. And he's getting older, and that's when like we kind of introduce or go into the concept of the Kobayashi Maru, which is the test that we see in the reboot movies that like helps cadets learn how to deal with high stress situations, and the idea that you can't always win, and sometimes you do have to make an impossible choice as captain. And Spock brings up the fact that like Kirk cheated, which they show a possible version of that in the reboot movie. And so he's never really, Kirk's son, sorry, Kirk has a son who's in Wrath of Khan. Sorry if you haven't seen Wrath of Khan, guys. Who's an adult son who brings up the fact after Spock dies, like, you haven't really faced death, have you? And Kirk says, no, not like this. Like, he hasn't really faced death in any way until his friend dies. And so it's all directly connected to that movie and what that movie is actually dealing with. And the only reason it exists in Star Trek Into Darkness was because we wanted to make a movie with Khan, and we're gonna like just do the same exact plot details all over again and just reverse them, and somehow it'll mean the same thing. It'll be just as affecting. And it's like that. It literally does not work like that. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It just doesn't work like that.
No,
so
it really doesn't.
Long rant about that over for now.
That's why we're here. We're here to enthuse about we're just as much here to dunk on movies that we wish had been better as we are to celebrate movies we love.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, granted, that wasn't the only problem with Star Trek Into Darkness, which is a movie that was never made, so I don't know really why we're talking about a movie that was never made. But
man, it's so tragic that they suggested using Bolshevik communist to replace Ricardo Montalban, and then fortunately they went, wow, that's a terrible idea, and just dumped the whole thing in the toilet.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Hey, you want to talk about the fact that Bones fucking carries around Spock's consciousness in his brain for a while because guess what?
Yeah.
They also love each other.
Oh my god. So guys, at the end of Wrath of Khan, before Spock sacrifices himself, he just transfers basically what is his consciousness. There's a Vulcan word for it. I can't remember.
Oh god, it's called a Katra. Why do I remember that?
Thank you.
It came up on Star Trek Discovery, that's why.
Oh, right. And he transfers it to Bones's mind when Bones is unconscious and like tries to stop Spock from killing himself.
Yeah, he's like, hey, hear me out, except you can't because you're unconscious. I need to borrow some of your brain.
Just for a temporary time. That's the secret to, like, how they can bring Spock back in the third movie. What more is there to say about that? They love each other. They trust each other.
Yeah,
it's
they
so
do.
Beautiful.
What an expression of absolutely immaculate trust. And just like the deep and fundamental respect that Spock and Bones have for each other is my jam, and I love it.
It's so underrated, and I'm so glad that we at least got to have a little bit of that in Star Trek Beyond.
I can't believe, once again, as you've heard me say already on this hour of our podcast, can't believe that Star Trek Beyond dramatized one of my favorite hypothetical Spock Bones fics.
It did, though. It's like that episode, what's that one? The All Our Yesterdays? Is that the one? No.
Yes, it is.
Is that it?
I think so. It's not important. So yeah, Search for Spock is Search for Spock is pretty wacky. Like, it's wacky. However, it's fun wacky. And then we have the one with the whales.
And
I'm going to be real here. The only thing I remember about this movie, because I have seen it, but it's been a very long time. I swear to God, the only two things I remember about this movie are Spock going, respectfully, they are not the hell your whales, because he suddenly forgets how swearing grammar works, and I'm like, you, sir, are messing with the locals, and I approve of it. And secondly, that Leonard Horatio Bones McCoy just says, fuck the Prime Directive and fuck the timeline, and just regrows this woman's kidney with, like, 23rd century magical space medicine because he's a doctor, damn it. Yeah, because fuck you, that's why. I'm a doctor, damn it. And you know what? Yes. I love him. It's just such a, like... Man...
have we talked about what the Prime Directive is on this podcast yet?
Oh, geez.
I'm imagining like the most baby Star Trek person ever listening to this.
Yeah, everybody. The Prime Directive is like, holy shit! I can't even remember exactly what the Prime Directive is. It's like it's like don't fuck up other people's shit.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Like the whole thing with the Prime Directive is that, like, whenever possible, all cultures and species and civilizations and stuff should be allowed to develop naturally, quote unquote. And so you like minimize outside influence before they have warp drive, at which point they kind of as you are now capable of interstellar flight that doesn't require multiple generations of people on the same ship, like, you're like, okay, you figured it out, now you can interact with all these people, but, like, everybody it's like mitts off until then, and Bones is just over here, like, giving people pills that regrow their kidneys because he's a doctor and he needs to fix things. I don't remember why they need whales, and you know what, Helena? Don't tell me, because I want to go back and watch Voyage Home, and I want to be surprised because I can't remember why they need whales.
I will not tell you, and I will not tell you, the listener, because you should also watch Voyage Home.
Yeah, there's a couple more movies that I haven't seen. There's Generations, which has Picard and Kirk in it, and this weird, like, cloud that gives you, like traps you in your own fantasies. I don't know, man. That's another one that I saw when I was, like, 10. Oh, yeah, holy shit, Malcolm McDowell's in that movie. Wacko! And then you get into the next-gen movies. There's
also... There's
actually pretty fun.
There's Final Frontier and Undiscovered Country, which are, like, meh. Okay, and then Generations, and then, First Contact, Insurrection. Generations kind of acting as a sort of movie that's both original series and Next Generation, but mostly technically is a Next Generation movie, I guess. And then after Insurrection is Nemesis. I'm not wild about 5, 6, and 7. So there's this thing called the Star Trek movie curse that the fandom has come up with, which says that every even-numbered movie is going to be real good, and then every odd-numbered movie is going to be bad. So they're going off of this based off the fact that Wrath of Khan is really good and Voyage Home was really good. I don't know why Undiscovered Country is supposed to be really... I mean, I guess maybe Undiscovered Country is fine. And then First Contact is really good. But then it got all fucked up because Insurrection was the designated bad movie. And then Nemesis came out and people weren't wild about Nemesis, even though you, Ezra, really like it.
Okay, to be fair, I also haven't seen Star Trek Nemesis since I was like 12. So I'm reserving the right to alter my opinion on it.
Okay.
However, I remember thinking it was pretty cool. Patrick Stewart looks really fly in that, like, leather jacket that he wears for part of it. Like, baby Tom Hardy is in it, and I love Tom Hardy. Yeah, Tom Hardy is... He's like 19. It's terrifying. He's a fetus.
He is such a, like probably one of the twinkiest roles he's ever done.
It is maximum twink. It's incredible. Like, the level, like, you did not, if you have never seen this movie, you could not imagine, like, you just go, oh, like, Tom Hardy was never a twink. Oh, dear listeners, he was, guys. Don't get it twisted. Tom Hardy had a twink phase. Anyway,
but then, Nemesis being bad, and then Reboot was good, and then Into Darkness was bad, so there was somewhere along the line where there was this interruption, and people very rightly excused this by saying, oh, but wait, in between Insurrection and Nemesis is when Galaxy Quest came out, which was good. So that's the good Star Trek movie.
You know what? I accept that. No, really.
I accept it too. Because it's true.
There we go. This is the Maddie's outvoted if they disagree. This is the official position of the Sneople, inserting Galaxy Quest into the Star Trek film order in order to preserve the odd even pattern is valid.
It definitely works. 2 to 3, 2 to 1, even if Maddie disagrees.
Yeah.
First Contact.
Oh, are we talking about First Contact? Because that's where the most crucial things for people who routinely make First Contact are an open mind and being DTF. That's where that joke comes from, because the Vulcans roll up on Earth, and Vulcans are, of course, touch telepaths. So, you know, they're not real big with the, like touching each other is a big ass deal, and also apparently Vulcan hands are like an erogenous zone or something, which feels like it was evolutionarily a bad idea, but, like, I'm not...
But still canon.
You do you, friendos, you do you. And so they get to Earth, and Zephram Cochrane, of course, is like, oh yeah, let's shake hands. And this Vulcan is just like, fuck yeah, let's get spicy.
Okay.
Like, you're meeting aliens for the first time, and you're, okay. So he basically just, like, is doing the Vulcan equivalent of, like, let's kiss with tongue, and this dude is like, yep, here we are. So, salute to that dude. Yeah. When in Rome, have hand sex with the first people you meet on a planet.
James Cromwell.
Yeah, just do
Zephram
it.
Cochrane, inventor of warp drive, played by 10 feet tall Australian national treasure James Cromwell.
He's so large.
He's so tall. First Contact. I love First Contact. Ugh.
First Contact is genuinely a good movie. Also, for anyone who, in our generation, who's not sure who we mean when we say James Cromwell, it's the guy from Babe.
Oh, see, I haven't seen Babe.
Helena, what? I can't believe that I'm finding out that you've never seen Babe, like, live on our podcast recording. My mind is blown.
I was too busy watching Star Trek First Contact. The other primo James Cromwell material.
The only two things James Cromwell has ever done that is total lie.
He's also on Angels in America. And
yeah, he is.
Anyway, also Alfre Woodward is in this, and she is so good.
Is. She's fabulous and also extremely hot.
Yeah. Yeah, she's amazing in this. Okay, so like brief overview of what happens in First Contact, y'all. The Borg. So, oh god, the Borg. How do we describe the Borg? I described them once as like cybernetic scarecrows. Does that make sense to you? Does that track?
Yeah, that's just such a delicious analogy. I like it. The Borg are like halfway between a species and a virus. In that they are both, like, there is an original Borg species, but their whole deal is that they get into other sentient beings and make them part of the Borg collective. Which is why the resistance is futile. You will be assimilated, which, like, my mom likes to make jokes about that all the time.
So the Borg are scary. That's what's important. In the original series, Jean-Luc Picard, as played by Patrick Stewart, has a really horrifying run-in with the Borg where he is kidnapped by them, and they briefly turn him into one of the Borg collective. And it's like fine, he's rescued and everything, but it's also not fine because he has like really understandably terrible trauma from it, which is part of First Contact. And basically the Enterprise follow the Borg through this wormhole to Earth circa like 2063 or something, after this huge world war, basically World War III, I guess, right before First Contact is supposed to happen, in an effort to prevent First Contact from happening. And it's basically them trying to like mediate on Earth, being like, everything's fine, everything's cool, don't worry about it, Zephram Cochrane, please continue to invent warp drive. And then also trying to prevent the Borg from like killing everybody in this area of the United States where Zephram Cochrane is inventing warp drive, while also dealing with like, trauma and stuff. I wish I how about this? Like, we don't have to get into it too much tonight because I feel like we need to do just a separate episode on this so I don't lose my goddamn mind talking about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely do. Honestly, we can absolutely do another have another like more extended discussion about Star Trek First Contact.
Like a whole separate.
I kind of. Yeah. I mean, I like this movie, but I haven't seen it in a long time, and I didn't realize the breadth of your feelings about it. which is dope. I love finding out that my friends have, more to say about a subject than I thought that they did. But, it's good to keep people wanting more, so I think we'll save a little more of our discussion of Star Trek First Contact for another podcast episode. Guess we just have to keep listening. And with that, I think it's a good place for us to call it an evening, metaphorically. Yeah. I have no idea what time it is where you're listening to
we would love to talk more about Star Trek. Obviously,
and we probably will talk more about Star Trek, because let's be real here, it's us. We're gonna talk more about Star Trek.
Yeah, don't worry.
This is not the last that you will hear about us from us on this subject.
The only reason that we're calling it an evening already is because we're still having some major technical issues and don't want to make this an episode where we're just saying what back and forth to each other, because that's not fun.
Also, we don't want Maddie to beat both of us to death with our microphones for making this episode too difficult for them to edit. So with that, thanks for hanging out with us here on Sneople at the Movies from the Infinity Break Network. Check out infinitybreak.net for more awesome content, and come hit us up on Twitter at people_snake, or shoot us an email at sneopleatthemovies@gmail.com. Our amazing music was done by Johnny Ronaldo, who you can find at Johnny Ronaldo on Twitter. If you've got a subject you want to hear us talk about, a movie you think we absolutely need to see, or any old favorites from the golden age of Star Trek reboot fanfiction, come on over and say hello. Also, if you can, please leave a review on iTunes and share the show with any friends you think would enjoy it. Any way you can help spread the news helps us out so much, and we would really appreciate it. As always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the movies.